Guy joining us now knows a lot about that game. He's Kirk Ferentz, ready for our all-state campus interview. Kirk, what do you remember about that 0-2 game?
Well, it was a great game, certainly, and two things I remember. That week of practice, I think pretty much our coaches could just stayed in the locker room or stayed in the offices. We didn't need to go out to the field. The team was really motivated. We were on a real roll, and they certainly didn't need us on the field to practice, and obviously showed up ready to play that day. It was just turned out to be a really good football game for us. And the other observation, most of the guys that were seniors and juniors in that game are, they're all married now and have kids, and I guess I got grandkids. So a lot of things have changed since then.
Time has flown in a decade and a half for sure. Well, let's focus on this year's team. So the last game you played, your offense scored 10 points. The game before, it was 45 points. What makes the difference when you guys are clicking versus not offensively?
Yeah, I don't know if I can just put it in words necessarily, but that is the game of football, and I think the biggest thing right now is we are struggling to really be consistent with our execution. And as it turns out, last week's game was really a defensive-oriented game. Both teams played good defense. It ended up being 10-10 in regulation. They played well defensively, and I think our guys did as well. Whereas in the previous game, it was a little bit different, and we made a couple big plays, that type of thing. So, but as I look at our season thus far, really the biggest thing right now for us is to start establishing a little bit more consistency. Part of our challenges have been youth or inexperience related, if you will. So, hopefully as each week goes on, hopefully with better practice, and I think we had a good week this week, we'll see a little bit better execution on the field Saturday.
Well, a guy who doesn't suffer from youth or inexperience is Josey Jewell, one of the best tacklers in the country. You didn't have him last week. What's his status this week?
Yeah, I think he's ready to go. He practiced well all week, and we still have one more workout here, but I think he's ready to go, certainly. And, we're not making any alibis or offering excuses, but we're a better football team with Josey out there, not only for his production, but his leadership. I haven't been around to get to a better football player, and we've had a lot of good ones here. He's certainly in that category, just an unbelievable player, unbelievable leader, and we're a better football team without him. But that being said, Ben Neiman did a great job sliding into the middle linebacker position last week, and Kevin Ward jumped in for Ben. So, those guys played really well, but we are a better team with certainly Josey on the field for us.
Back in August, there wasn't necessarily 100% certainty, at least among fans, on who would be your quarterback. What have you seen from Nate Stanley thus far this year?
Probably the best thing I could say about him is what we've seen when things don't go well. And he's had, like every player, he's had some moments where it was tough. Maybe a throw he'd like to get back or a decision he made, that type of thing. But, the quarterback position, that we ask so much of a quarterback, it's such a tough position, challenging position because of the decisions they have to make. There's a lot on their plates. And everybody's a quarterback expert, so, everybody's weighing in on their performance. But the thing I think I've been most impressed with, I think, our entire staff and Nate's teammates, just the way, if something doesn't go well for him, the way he just keeps playing. He doesn't, at least from the outside in, doesn't look like he's affected or rattled, and just keeps playing, and typically he comes back with something really good afterwards. So he's totally invested, very, very serious about what he does. He's tough-minded. I think he's off to a really solid start for us.
You said he'll be playing this week in a game that is a trophy game. How do you personally address your team when it comes to trophy games, whether it's the week before as we lead up to the game or the actual day of the game? Full disclosure, 19 years ago, I thought trophy games were kind of silly. And coincidentally, it was against Minnesota in 1981. We were having a pretty good year. We got off to a really good start. It was ended up being the first bowl season in 20 years for Iowa, or 19 years, and just happened to be the Rose Bowl that year. But it was in the Minnesota game when after the ball game they beat us, they upset us in Kinnick, and when they came across the field to take the trophy, that's really the first time I grew an appreciation for what trophy games are all about. So since that time on, I've had a pretty good appreciation. So we try to make sure that anybody that's new to our football team, they understand that, what it means. I think the guys that have been on our roster, and I think it's probably true all across the Big Ten, once you've been in a trophy game, I think you get full appreciation for what it's all about. Biggest concern this week with Minnesota is?
First thing that comes to mind, they've got a really good running attack, and they've got three, I think, really outstanding running backs. So the guys up front are doing a good job. They've got a good scheme, but those guys are really running the ball well. And then just overall, they're playing with high energy. They're well coached, and they're a good football team.
Finally, I expect an extravagant, highly detailed Halloween costume from you this year. No? Am I right on that?
Got to tell you, I really haven't thought much about Halloween at this juncture, but I'm sure we'll get there soon.
You got your eyes on a couple other things. Kirk Ferentz, Iowa head coach. Thanks for giving us your time.
Thanks, Mike.